Coming up on AGWEEK TV, planting continues to lag at a record rate around the region. Thousands of Red River Valley acres have ongoing problems with flooding. We'll visit landowners that have a plan to fix theirs.
It's been more than a week after the big storm, but they'll be cleaning up for a long time to come.
And we'll meet a dog who has a nose for potato disease. Welcome to AGWEEK TV. I'm Emily Beal. With drier weather and final planting dates approaching in the northern plains, farmers have frantically hit the fields in recent weeks in an effort to get their crop in. The USDA released its 8th crop progress report this week, and spring wheat is still the major crop that suffered most, with prevented plant becoming a distinct possibility. North Dakota grows almost half of the U.S. spring wheat, and at only 27%, the state is planting at the slowest rate in history. The 49% national number is also the slowest since 1981. Average for May 22nd is 83%. The second slowest corn planting pace in more than a quarter of a century has seen a nice uptick recently, with most of the northern corn belt now close to or above 5-year averages. The 72% national number is only 7% behind average. North Dakota's final planting date for corn was Wednesday, May 25th. At 7%, soybeans are at a record slow pace in North Dakota, 40% behind the average and lagging in South Dakota and Minnesota too. But at 50% nationally, beans are now only behind average by 5%. A 2-year-long drought may finally be broken in southwest North Dakota. Some of the moisture came in a mid-April blizzard, and the snow and rain are also delaying planting. But all in all, it's a relief to farmer and rancher George Langang. He says they're still behind in planting, but he's confident he'll still see good yields because of the improved moisture levels.
Actually, not all that bad. We had about 4.5, 5 inches of rain going into fall, so we had some decent submoisture. Winter was pretty dry. Coming into spring to now, we've probably had close to 7 inches of moisture.
Langang says many years he has all his spring wheat planted in April. Minnesota lawmakers have passed a bill that combines 2 key issues for farmers. It offers drought relief and spending for various things, including high-speed internet. Grants of up to $7,500 will be available to producers in all but 4 Minnesota counties hit by the 2021 drought.
I think we've got a very strong, solid bill for the state of Minnesota on all the fronts for farmers, for agriculture, for rural broadband, and the connectivity that's become so important in our lives.
Details on how to apply for grants will be out in the next couple of weeks. Other emergency spending includes money for avian influenza response. Thousands of acres of farmland along the Red River in North Dakota and Minnesota were flooded for weeks this spring. Farmers who raise crops on those fields aren't surprised by the frequent flooding, but they're frustrated because they say they have a solution that's not being implemented. It's this week's AGWEEK cover story.
It's just getting old, the same story. We know what's going to happen. We know how much it hurts us. I think one thing we're feeling is frustration because we have solutions here and we'd like to start getting them implemented.
James Bergman has dealt with this for years. Flooding takes a toll on this rich agricultural land and washes out roads, or at least makes them impassable, sometimes for weeks.
It's going to keep going north. And then it has to spread out to all this distance to the 8 miles wide, go over the interstate.
And it has caused thousands of dollars in damage to a railroad line that carries cars filled with wheat to the west coast and southern U.S.
So this is the Oslo Bridge, built in 1905. 17% of North Dakota's wheat went over this bridge. 3% of the nation's wheat.
Flooding in this area has a long and complicated history. Much of the problem started 4 decades ago when farmers implemented their own diking systems. In 1986, a federal judge ordered them to be lowered, but over the years, increased farm drainage in the southern Red River Valley has sent more water north faster. And then, to make matters worse, bridges over the river hold back water and increase flooding.
This is the Red River right here, because it's being diverted here by the bridge in Oslo.
The frequent flooding has caused a significant drop in the value of this land. While some land in the area is going for $6,000 an acre, the floodland is appraised at about $1,500.
Big problem for erosion. And with the high winds just the other day, and we had 3-foot water swells out there, and the water is just black, gray and black with dirt in it, churning with those winds.
Representatives of the 7 townships affected by this flooding formed a group 9 years ago. They developed a plan that calls for rebuilding several bridges to allow water to flow more freely, protecting the interstate and other roads and the railroad line. But the farmers are frustrated because they just don't have the $133 million to implement it.
The burden we're carrying trying to fix this thing that happened in 1905, we really need state and federal money to do it.
You can read much more on this complicated issue in the next AgWeek magazine and at agweek.com. Though many areas in our region have too much water, there are some parts of the Dakotas that still haven't recovered from last year's record-breaking drought. In fact, since the start of this year, the U.S. Drought Monitor shows that drought areas in South Dakota have actually expanded and gotten worse, except for the northeast corner of the state.
Certainly the situation is pretty difficult with very little, if any, surface water, stock ponds, creeks, rivers, very short on grass. We had a hard freeze just this last weekend. In other drought years, we've seen that situation as well. That really stunted growth and affected forage production for the rest of the season.
North Dakota is a different story. The spring storms, though tough on ranchers, were just what the state needed to finally break the record drought it had been in for 2 years. Conditions have improved so much that, as of May 24th, the northwest corner of the state is the only part still considered to be in drought. The yellow color is just abnormally dry.
The ponds are pretty much rejuvenated. Soil moisture is at their highest level. It is going to be very difficult. Even though the rains may stop, we have enough moisture in the soil to get us through the springtime.
AGWEEK says as hard as it was to break out of the drought, with how much moisture is now in the soil, it will be equally difficult to go back to drought conditions. Coming up on AgWeek TV, we'll meet a dog who's putting her nose to good use, helping potato growers detect disease.
At Advanced Grain Handling Systems, we're your full-service grain dryer and bin project partner. We'll handle everything from start to finish.
These guys are all in one. That was one of the big draws. They were the general. They took care of the electrical. They took care of the cement, took care of everything.
Whether your next project is big or small, let our team help with it all. Visit advancedgrainhandling.com.
Attention farmers and farming communities. The herbicide paraquat has been linked to Parkinson's disease. Paraquat, also known as gramoxone, is still being used in the U.S. on corn, soy, and wheat crops and puts farm workers in danger. Producers across the country have filed lawsuits claiming that paraquat caused their Parkinson's disease and that the manufacturer failed to warn about the chemical's risk of neurological damage. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with Parkinson's after direct or indirect exposure to paraquat, call or visit solberglaw.com.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has the storage, conditioning, and handling equipment to fit any size operation with a wide variety of options and accessories, including our patented Blockbuster auger to help break up blockages over the center sump gate, and a full line of mixed flow grain dryers with even heating, excellent efficiency, and expandable capacities. Protect your investment and market your grain. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with Superior Grain Equipment.
All right, here's the free gift I got for opening up a checking account. Let's see what I got.
Okay, guys, so I got this portable DVD player.
Yeah, I'm not sure why my bank would give me a tiny waffle maker.
So it's a tumbler, but it doesn't fit in any of my cup holders.
I wasn't even sure they still made these.
Is it for kids? Is this for kids?
Don't fall for the free gift. Find a bank that cares about what you really need. Cornerstone Bank.
You can get the field results you want in varying conditions with the flexibility of the Summers VRT Renegade. Featuring on-the-fly blade angle adjustment from 0 to 19 degrees. And if you want the simplicity of a super coulter with the ability to move a little dirt, you'll love the all-new Summers Super Coulter Samurai. Go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about North America's broadest line of tillage equipment and other products from North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing.
The newest high-tech tool for diagnosing crop disease is also man's best friend. Mikkel Pate's got a look at how dogs may revolutionize the detection of potato disease.
Andrea Parrish has trained dogs for search and rescue work, but in 2019, when one of her dogs had a knee injury, she wondered whether her dogs could do other work.
This is a lot of volume.
Andrea Parrish's husband David is a potato crop consultant, and she wondered if dogs are ever used in detecting potato diseases.
And I asked him, who on the farm is using dogs to detect disease? And the answer was no one. And for me, as a dog person, I was like, what? Yeah, that's crazy to me. Good job!
Parrish and one of her dogs, Zora, came to Fargo recently to sniff out disease at the NDSU Potato Seed Development Program.
Zora, check.
Zora is looking for a potato disease known as PVY.
The military has proved over 50 years that it's the best way to detect small amounts of odor, and disease gives us odor. So we have the COVID dogs, we have cancer dogs, we now have PVY and ring rot dogs.
The NDSU Potato Breeding Program develops new potato cultivars for grower, industry, and consumer adoption, as well as certified seed potatoes. Parrish's dogs can detect small amounts of PVY and other diseases without cutting into the potatoes.
Good girl, good job.
And they can do in a matter of hours what would take months to do in a lab.
You got it.
You've seen how rapid this is. 10 acres, I have 9 different seed lots. She has gone through almost all of our tuber material in a half a day. If we were doing that same virus testing, the traditional way, that takes months, and it ties up a lot of resources.
Thompson says now they'll test to verify how accurate the dogs are.
The rest are clear.
Parrish is working to refine the technique and would like to develop certification standards for the dogs. She's eventually hoping to expand her business, which she named Nose Scouting.
But we know they can find the odor. That's not a mistake. Like, people that don't believe it, they watch it, and I haven't had anyone say, no, I don't believe it. Can somebody pull that hot one? I got 3 more to go.
The company is also looking into detecting more diseases, including nematodes, potato wart, and powdery scab.
What a fascinating story. Thanks, Mikkel. And you also had quite a busy week. Mikkel's brother was one of the farmers still cleaning up from strong storms that blew through the upper Midwest on the evening of May 12th. In fact, some of the cleanup may have to wait until at least after planting. The derecho storm hit very close to home for Mikkel. His brother Mark farms in eastern South Dakota. They had a lot of damage from the storm, including the loss of their 2-stall garage. The wind lifted it up and threw it into their front yard. But Mark and his wife Phyllis say they made it out better than many.
Some were hit worse, took more buildings or took more trees, just depending on where you lived.
Yeah. After you've been through this, Phyllis, did you feel like you were just kind of glad to be alive? Because some people didn't.
Oh, yeah. What we lost is all replaceable, so it's not anything too bad. Yeah. It just is changing the landscape.
Joe Stroman, who farms near Alberta, Minnesota, lost about half of his on-farm grain storage. But he knows there are many others with storage and handling systems that need to be repaired or replaced, so he could have a long wait. Gardening has really boomed during the pandemic, and master gardeners with the University of Minnesota Extension want to help new gardeners succeed.
It's just getting better every year.
Terry Yockey is the volunteer leader for the Goodhue County Master Gardeners. She says last year was a banner year for the program, with a record number of new interns participating, and she expects another one this year.
Gardening took off hugely, so the more master gardeners, the better.
Interns have to put in 50 volunteer hours to become a permanent master gardener. Nancy Berlin is a master gardener with the University of Minnesota Extension in Goodhue County. She says the program started years ago. When so many homeowners wanted help with their gardens, the Extension Service needed extra help. She says the university's training to become a master gardener is unmatched.
What's great about the program is you're trained by University of Minnesota, and so you go through a training course first, and then you do your volunteer hours, and then you get to wear your badge.
The program has had a partnership with the Prairie Island Community Garden for 4 years. And on the day we visited, they were working with them on their native plants garden.
Today we learned about tea, we learned about some cultural things, we learned about braiding sweetgrass. So we all work and learn together, and it's been a great project.
Berlin and Yockey say if you're interested in gardening, you may want to start small and grow what you like.
Just do it. Get a hold of the master gardeners if you have questions, because that's what we're here for.
Ahead on AGWEEK TV, one of our favorite stories from the AGWEEK Vault, a Minnesota family stalks an unusual crop.
For over 130 years, Farmers Mutual of Nebraska has been providing protection from the unexpected. Farmers and ranchers choose Farmers Mutual insurance coverage for their industry experience, prompt claim service, and unmatched financial strength. Experience an insurance plan that's customized for your operation. Visit fmne.com to contact an agent for a quote today. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
At Gateway Building Systems, we provide unmatched service to all of our customers. Butler Builder understands this. We combine creative design capabilities with superior workmanship to deliver optimal building solutions. Our team provides insight that takes you from the ground up to build your future. Gateway Building Systems and Butler Buildings are designed for strength, durability, and longevity. We are here to build your project and maintain it for the next generation.
Good work, good pay, and a good life. It's a Trans Systems way. Good work, good pay, and a good life. Lets me live my way. Good work, good pay, and a good life. Trans Systems way. Good work, good pay, and a good life. It lets me live my way. It's a Trans Systems way. Good work.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has the storage, conditioning, and handling equipment to fit any size operation with a wide variety of options and accessories, including our patented Blockbuster auger to help break up blockages over the center sump gate, and a full line of mixed flow grain dryers with even heating, excellent efficiency, and expandable capacities. Protect your investment and market your grain. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with Superior Grain Equipment.
Go beyond the headlines with an AGWEEK membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to AGWEEK and AGWEEK TV.
Could the region be in for pleasant Memorial Day temperatures? Here's John with our AgriWeather outlook.
Well, the floodwaters across North Dakota and other parts of the northern plains that have been very, very wet this spring, that is beginning to recede, but the soil remains very wet. And in some parts, particularly notably North Dakota, we have this problem of many areas are just, we're getting to the latest that we can plant certain crops because of insurance purposes. In other words, it's too late to insure. But there will still be some last-minute planting as we do have finally some favorable weather in the far north. Overall, there are patterns of signs of change in the weather pattern. The rain will be shifting into different areas, I think, of the country, the more persistent rainfall, but that change will happen fairly slowly. And there still is room for more rainfall into the northern plains. And also the warmth of summer. As the calendar turns into June, it looks like so far, fairly standard warm weather patterns, no real heat waves moving into the region. As we look at the pattern right now, troughiness still persists over the west, or a little bit of ridginess exists in the east, a little bit of southwest to northeast flow, and this Memorial Day weekend, we're getting one more round of rain in the northern part of the midsection of the continent, and that is unwelcome rain for the most part. Not going to be as heavy as some of the April and early May storms, but still going to be fairly wet, especially through the early part of the week. That'll be rain-cooled air then into the northern plains, and it looks like a few days, even as we begin to dry out this week, where at least in North Dakota it's going to be so cool, there's not going to be that much room for evaporation. Later in the week, that will change. Eastern Corn Belt, much of the Corn Belt, in fact, will be quite warm over the next week or so. The hot weather representing temperatures at or near 90 or above. The warm weather where we're looking at mostly 70s and 80s, and still some of this pretty cool weather with some stuff around the 50s in through North Dakota through parts of the week. The only other really cool spot will be up in the higher elevations of the Mountain West. But as we go toward this transition into the second week of this forecast, which puts us into really the second week in June, we're going to start seeing some troughiness being carved out in the west and some ridging coming up in the middle. That's going to pull up at least a few days of pretty warm weather. Might get close to 90 into parts of South Dakota. A couple of days in that second second week of June and bring at least some temps to 80 or near 80 or into the 80s into parts of North Dakota. I don't think that's going to stay too long. I don't see a really warm weather pattern setting up just yet. There are signs we may get there eventually. This week, showers continue across the north. A lot of this in the Dakotas and Minnesota will be in the first half of the week, not the second half of the week. Southwest remains dry. Southeast will get some usual thunderstorms, some wet weather across the coast. And then in the second week, notice I'm really talking anomalies. It'll be above normal precipitation in the southeast. Not saying we'll be rain-free in the north. I just don't see anything excessive into much of the northern wet plains and upper Midwest.
It's going to be an interesting year in agriculture. We have already seen the markets trade to new crop highs and levels not seen in years. There is uncertainty around the 2022 growing season. Will drought impact production? How many acres will be switched? And will demand remain strong? Are you getting the information you need to make the right marketing decisions? With the changing market environment, maybe it's time to change how you approach your grain marketing. Let Martinson Ag Risk Management get you the news that matters and a marketing plan that suits your needs.
Attention farmers and farming communities. The herbicide paraquat has been linked to Parkinson's disease. Paraquat, also known as Gromoxone, is still being used in the U.S. on corn, soy, and wheat crops and puts farm workers in danger. Producers across the country have filed lawsuits claiming that paraquat caused their Parkinson's disease and that the manufacturer failed to warn about the chemical's risk of neurological damage. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with Parkinson's after direct or indirect exposure to paraquat, call or visit solberglaw.com.
Every season has an end. After spending your whole life building something, it can be hard to move on to your next stage in life. But when that time comes, you deserve to have someone you trust guide you through the process. And by trusting us to pass on your legacy, it gives someone else the chance to create their own. Every auction has a story. Let us share yours.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute, up to 3,400 feet away.
AuctionBlock.com. First with online equipment auctions in 1999. First in worldwide registered users. AuctionBlock.com. Online farm, construction, and transportation equipment auctions every Wednesday. Sell with the leader. Call Auction Block today, 218-483-7880, or visit us online at AuctionBlock.com.
Asparagus isn't commonly grown around here, but in this week's story from our vault, retired AGWEEK reporter, now AGWEEK columnist Jonathan Knutson, found a family in northwest Minnesota that staked their name to the green stalks for more than a decade.
Started out just planting a few seeds in the garden.
For Sharon Weiss, it grew into a project to help pay college costs for her 4 children.
Pretty soon we had rows, which now have become fields for us.
13 acres of fields, which should produce more than 15,000 pounds of asparagus this season. Sharon and her husband Ron, a full-time farmer, operate Weiss Asparagus Farm, along with their 4 grown children. They also have 15 part-time employees.
A lot of hand labor.
The harvest is easier with the help of custom-designed and built harvesters that are operated by foot. That leaves hands free to cut stalks.
We were up to a asparagus farm up in Canada, and we took some pictures of it, and we talked to them and came home and built it out of the pictures. We took the rear end out of a hydrostatic drive lawnmower, bought an engine for it, and the rest we just had to build by scratch.
The asparagus is then processed with special equipment from Holland, but it still requires extensive hands-on work.
You get a good crop harvested, and when you bring it into the stores and they say how good it looks, I guess that's satisfying.
In medieval times, asparagus was eaten mainly by the aristocracy and the wealthy. Today, everyone can enjoy it. For AGWEEK, I'm Jonathan Knutson.
Stalks are harvested every day from late April through late June. Still ahead on our show, growing your own salsa.
Every season has an end. After spending your whole life building something, it can be hard to move on to your next stage in life. But when that time comes, you deserve to have someone you trust guide you through the process. And by trusting us to pass on your legacy, it gives someone else the chance to create their own. Every auction has a story. Let us share yours.
Attention farmers and farming communities. The herbicide paraquat has been linked to Parkinson's disease. Paraquat, also known as Gromoxone, is still being used in the U.S. on corn, soy, and wheat crops and puts farm workers in danger. Producers across the country have filed lawsuits claiming that paraquat caused their Parkinson's disease and that the manufacturer failed to warn about the chemical's risk of neurological damage. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with Parkinson's after direct or indirect exposure to paraquat, call or visit solberglaw.com.
The team at North Star Ag is committed to quality and committed to you. We're not just a full-service dealer, we're farmers too, so we know you need the best machinery and services that'll keep you going all season long. We have the largest equipment inventory in the upper Midwest with a well-equipped parts and service department. So whether you need machinery tomorrow or parts today, stop in and experience what North Star Ag can offer on our website at northstar-ag.com or give us a call at 701-361-4790.
Don't miss out on the equipment you'll need next season. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer, has early order discounts on its full line of powerful, efficient, new Case IH equipment, including tractors, combines, and self-propelled sprayers. Get a great deal and ensure that you have the latest in productivity and technology. Supply chains are tight. Contact your Titan Machinery dealership today and find out how much you can save by ordering ahead. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH equipment experts.
For AGWEEK, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for watching AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you like salsa and gardening, how about growing your own salsa garden? Cristen Clark and a gardening expert have some tips. Clark is the Iowa farmer who writes the Food and Swine blog. She's also a monthly AgWeek magazine columnist and shares videos at agweek.com. She says salsa gardens don't take up much space and can be grown in containers. This week, she shares some tips for a successful salsa garden and her favorite salsa recipe at agweek.com. Stories you'll only see on agweek.com and an AgWeek magazine this week. A North Dakota farmer is the state's exporter of the year. And believe it or not, some farmers in southeast Minnesota are wrapping up planting. We appreciate you watching AgWeek TV. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up on all your ag news. Have a great week.